Right now it's time to talk consumption. Harsha Razdan is with us to share his insights. He's from KPMG India. He's joining us right now. Harsha, thank you so much for coming down. I just want to understand. Let's talk about consumption, let's talk about slowdown, something that has been transpiring over the last many months, almost a year. It's been a year that the volumes have been down, the rural sentiment, even urban markets has been very low. Companies have flagged off concerns as well. Talk to us about how are you assessing the scenario and what is the uptick now we can expect, if any, before festivals?
So you're right, the consumer sentiment is a bit weak, and so also is the business sentiment.
Right.
You look at categories which are actually going well. Very clearly, the rural segment, if you look at, is facing a push down on demand. Elements in the rural area which talk about discretionary spends, chocolates, biscuits, ice cream will face pressure. And typical consumer in rural will now downtrade or move into unbranded, into consumer essentials. So whether it's a branded atta, branded chawal, branded dal, I guess the consumer may downgrade and move into such categories.
Harsha, sorry to interrupt. Since you're talking about the downtrade that has happened, which are the segments worst hit in the slowdown that we've seen?
So, if you look at the IIP data which has come out, clearly, although the data for the last month is robust, but clearly the resilient segments have been non-durables and intermediates, but the big ones, capital investment, long-term investments to be done, have been hit. I think the rural area, again, rural markets are again being disturbed by the fact that downtrading is happening typically in essentials, atta, chawal, or in, I would say, luxury for them, ice cream, biscuits and stuff like that. And we're seeing that all around the news also.
But even if it's a 5 rupee biscuit packet, something that Parle G, Britannia managements have said that people are thinking actually twice before buying something like that also. It's such a low ticket price item.
It's a very good point, and that is relevant, and that's why the lower price points do well in rural markets. So for them, every rupee does matter. And if you don't have money in your hands, then it's about purchasing that biscuit or actually going down to eat something which is actually homemade and something which costs hardly anything.
Right. And what is the trend for festive season we're expecting this time around vis-a-vis the previous seasons that have gone by? Because last year, I think, was when the slowdown had just started to trickle in. Only certain segments and sectors were impacted same time last year, but now it's full-blown. Sentiment is completely damp. We're hearing a lot of negative news flow in papers and media on a daily basis. So how are consumers digesting all that, and how is it likely to shape up?
Consumers look for consumption occasions. First half of this year, we had the IPL and the Cricket World Cup. Second half of every year, Dussehra, Diwali have been huge consumption occasions. So I don't think there'll be a dampener to that respect. There will be a peak in consumption. I feel that even companies will invest higher in terms of advertising spends. The first half of the year was pretty damp in terms of spend. They will increase the spends, but they will not increase the spends rapidly over the same period last year, because they'll remain cautiously optimistic. Of course, the consumer companies and as you look to sort of trade with consumers, you'll have to come up with a slew of initiatives. But that doesn't dampen the aspect that they're going to be aggressive in this.
But Harsha, these are the same companies which are laying people off. These are the same companies which are shutting production for a few days and doing no production days. So, and even so far, we've not seen any big TVCs or any promotional campaigns on any media when it comes to festive specific advertising or communication. So post Shraddh, maybe can we expect a massive surge?
I'll be surprised if you don't see a surge.
Okay.
But at the same time, I would say they are going to be cautiously optimistic. Don't expect that if a company spent 100 rupees last year on media, it's going to go to 120. It may go up a little bit, but they will be cautious until the whole scenario in the economy sort of goes up. But I don't see them underspending. This is the time they're going to spend money on media. This is the time when consumers are going to look at spending money. So when are you going to spend your money to catch your consumers except in the festive season?
Two key festivals have already passed. One is Onam, very big for the southern market. One is Ganesh Chaturthi, once again very big in the southern market and Maharashtra, Mumbai regions as well. So what is the sense you've garnered from your channel checks, if any, about the uptick in demand?
See, I think it's not going to be easy very clearly. Consumer companies are coming up with different initiatives to pull in demand. For example, most of the companies are now looking at EMIs, credit being given to the distributors and retailers to ensure the product is available in the market. You would see, I would say, a lot of focus on smaller price points. There's this view that sachets always is more value for money than other products. I think companies will start focus on 2 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupee kind of price points to try and create a wedge in the door to try and capture as much demand as possible, I would say.
Another interesting, insight that we discovered a couple of weeks back or a month or two back is that while there's a massive slowdown in auto, which is at a very extreme end of the ticket price, and there is FMCG, which is very, very basic daily essentials. Barring that, if you look at the retail industry performance, that has actually not seen any kind of a negative impact in its financials, at least in the quarter gone by. We've seen players like a Trent, players like Shoppers Stop, well, relatively weaker, but a D-Mart. So, and these are players across spectrum. They are fashion retailers, some are grocery retailers, etc. So they've not seen much of a slowdown. Why is that?
So my feeling here is that the consumer is still upgrading in our economy. We are teaching people how to shop. So moving from the standard mom and pop retail to modern trade that we have, and then on to e-commerce. I think the channels such as modern trade and e-commerce, as long as they are being consumer relevant, offering the right value proposition to consumers, I think they will continue to see some bit of an upswing. The issue will be in the smaller trade, which may sort of be stuck in between and may not know how to manage this downturn.
So are you saying that organized retail is actually seeing a major shift and a major uptick in demand, and it's the kirana walas who are suffering?
So I'm not saying that there's a major upswing. The swing is happening towards anything which is the standard, anything but the standard kirana stores. So organized retail is seeing some bit of upswing. The bigger upswing is in e-commerce, but anything with this new channel is continuing to bring an upswing because the deals and the offers and the consumer connect they might have.
So, but then how are they delivering good margins also? Because if they are offering discounts and promotional deals, etc., the margins are still pretty good.
Yeah, so I think that's all about profit management in the retail. I think every retailer or every e-commerce company knows what operating margin they're operating with. The opportunity they have in front of them is they can reach directly to the consumer. The consumer is looking for the right deals. Consumer is looking to come to them and expect something newer than what he got from his normal channels. I think that's where the opportunity lies. So I think margins may come under a little bit of pressure, but overall I think people are not stupid to go and sort of give undue discounts or undue incentives in modern trade or e-commerce beyond a point.
Okay, definitely. That is true. There have been no desperate measures so far taken by retailers. Let's talk about e-commerce. We were chatting with the Amazon India spokesperson as well very recently about the festive sale. They're saying that they're too small in the entire retail and consumption spectrum right now to be affected by any slowdown. Do you concur with that? And what is it that's sort of attracting consumers to buy online now, even though there are discounts and offerings available offline also now?
I think the big thing that e-commerce companies are offering is choice. And the ability to reach a consumer wherever he or she might be. The consumer experience at times can be better than what the consumer has seen. And I think more than discounts, it's about reaching the consumer directly to him or her homes. I won't say they are small in the overall scheme of things, but it's that every new channel is small in that respect. But I think the kind of growth we are seeing in e-commerce, whether it is B2C or B2B, will continue this kind of momentum for the next few years very easily.
So any other interesting trends you're spotting when it comes to consumer behavior that you may have witnessed in the recent past?
I think something which I'm noticing that companies are now getting to do is that they are now beginning to look at how they can even maximize any kind of distribution related initiatives in the market. You don't want to be at a case where your distribution is shrinking and so is your margin. So continue to push your distribution in difficult times. And two, I think looking at the super premium segment, I think the super premium segment may be relatively lesser price sensitive to the products. So I feel that if you're able to identify a segment which you can go after and which is relatively less price sensitive, urban centric, maybe this is the time to sort of go after it and cream the market this time.
That's right, because people who work in these luxury stores, etc., said that we've not witnessed any slowdown. Just before we close this discussion, I want to understand, whenever the downturn ends, which are the segments that you see most potential in, and which are the ones that are likely to drive the uptick?
Are you talking with respect to FMCG and consumer, right?
Yes.
So I think clearly for an India perspective, I've always had the view that the biggest growth will come in through the food industry. We have about 97% of our food consumption which is unbranded. And that itself is a huge potential for all our entrepreneurs in this country. And I believe for the longer period of time, anything which is food industry will continue to be much more robust. There's a huge scope for them to operate, and this will be the industry to watch for going forward.
Okay, Harsha, thank you so much once again for coming down and chatting with us about the trends panning out in the consumer retail space. Thank you so much.
Thank you.